ANC Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa described the ANC Manifesto as the best manifesto this far, as it reflects on all the achievements from the past 20 years of democracy, while opposition parties describe it as a predictable laundry list of promises which aims to cover up all their past failures. Joining me in studio is Daniel Silke to speak on this matter. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you.
Daniel, what was your initial reaction as a political analyst to this ANC's election manifesto?
Well, there are two ways of looking at the ANC manifesto launch. One is to look at the visuals, the party, the actual physical nature of the launch itself. And the second issue is to look at the content of the manifesto and what the morning meant in terms of policy initiatives or guidelines for the election campaign. Now, on the first issue, the issue of the visuals, of the party, of the persona of Jacob Zuma, in a sense, the ANC, I think, succeeded in what it wished to accomplish, which was to show that Jacob Zuma was the man in charge and that Jacob Zuma was likely, therefore, to lead the election campaign for the ANC, despite, of course, the criticism of his leadership and the rumblings surrounding the possible ditching of him at the end of last year. I think the visuals were great. The stadium was full. There was no jeering or booing. And as a result, I think the ANC managed to convey a sense of we are in control, we are in power, Jacob Zuma is in charge. So I would tick the box for the ANC on that particular issue. The second issue relating to the manifesto was the manifesto itself. What's in the manifesto? Is there anything new and anything fresh? And I think on that score, there isn't that much that seems to be innovative or at least provides the country with something different. The manifesto, I think, has pointed towards the ANC asking the public again for another 5 years in office, pointing to the ANC's successes in the past, and pointing, of course, to a few minor tweaks in policy going forward. But I think overall the manifesto shows continuity for the ANC rather than any radically new or different approach. And that's not necessarily a bad thing for the party.
And I mean, the ANC hopes to build on their manifesto based on the 2009 manifesto, which focuses on education, health, rural development, land reform and food security, the creation of more jobs, decent work and sustainable livelihood, and the fight against crime and corruption. I mean, does the ANC have the correct leadership to actually put all these in place?
Well, you know, when you look at this manifesto compared to, as you say, the 2009 manifesto, and you come up with all these various issues, these issues are the same issues. Now, we've been grappling with issues of unemployment for more than 5 years, with corruption, with deficiencies and a deteriorating educational system. It clearly shows that over the course of the last 5 years, we haven't had sufficient leadership, or we haven't had the quality of leadership, or we haven't had the political will to implement policies that could alleviate these problems. So we're simply seeing a sort of a regurgitation of the same issues that we've had five years ago. Look, I think that there are signs within the ANC structures that they well understand the seriousness with which South Africa finds itself now. The relatively poor educational outcomes, notwithstanding the statistical improvement in the matric results, continue to plague South Africa. The unemployment statistics really don't show any signs of improving at all. And I think on the basis of this, the ANC understands that growth for the country, an improved growth rate, is absolutely essential. Concentrating on the economy has to be the #1 priority. And it's built into the manifesto. It sounds good. It's part of the National Development Plan as well that's been incorporated into this manifesto. The issue now is whether the ANC has the political will to implement. There's nothing substantially wrong with ANC policies on paper, but its inability to implement those policies because of its own ideological conflicts and cleavages and differences and personality clashes makes the ANC a party that simply cannot go forward. It treads water all the time. Can it be bold over the course of the next 5 years? Can Jacob Zuma have a Lula moment, in a sense, like in Brazil, where Lula had a great second term in office? Can Zuma do this? Well, the jury is still out. You'd have to take a chance on the ANC to perform, given that they haven't adequately performed over the previous 5 years.
And I mean, in theory, like you say, the manifesto is great when you look at it from a theoretical perspective. And do you think this will actually gain the ANC a 2/3 majority?
I think the ANC is going to struggle to get anywhere close to a 2/3 majority. Yes, when a manifesto is launched, every political party will tell you they want their vote to be 2/3 or more than 2/3. And as Jacob Zuma and others have said over the course of the last few days. I think the ANC is going to be very happy if they can get 60% of the total vote. They might even get slightly below that, but if they can get 60%, I think they'll be very happy. That's only a few percentage points less than what they got in 2009 or 2011 in the local election results. So the manifesto itself, I think, is broad enough. It doesn't rock the boat too much. It brings in various disparate elements like labor, like the business community. The manifesto talks about the importance of partnership with the private sector as well. And it perhaps engenders a degree of stability in the South African political debate over the course of the next few months. But I will say that this is the manifesto. It's early days in our election campaign. We don't yet know how opposition parties are going to react to this, and we don't know the mood of the country going forward. If Julius Malema's EFF becomes a more predominant factor in this election campaign, the debate could swing to a more radical debate over the course of the next few months as the ANC tries to fend off the more radical side of its potential support base that it is about to lose. If the DA shows strength in its campaign and launches its manifesto very well, similarly so, the debate could swing to a DA-ANC election campaign. So I think it's early days yet, but from the ANC point of view, they've ticked the boxes so far for as many of their supporters as possible.